Oh my God, where do we even start today? The Thursday night this week was basically Christmas morning, if you consider extremely scandalous news about prominent Republicans to be a gift, which we do.
Yeah, it was the QAnon, but for liberals this time.
The storm came. Yeah. And yeah, as a bonus, it's all characters that we have covered extensively, either going back years and years or just landing in our radar quite recently.
Yeah.
We've got Robert F. Kennedy Jr., we've got Congressman Matt Gaetz, and we've got North Carolina gubernatorial candidate and current Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson. Each of these men, presumably, had some tough conversations this week with not only their political colleagues, but also their wives.
Yeah.
It was a bad week for Republican wives.
But when isn't it?
Good week for content, though.
Yeah, and I guess we should start with the one that we've been covering the longest, Matt Gaetz, who is, of course, no stranger to scandal. And in fact, this Matt Gaetz news is the least surprising of all of them because it's just new, previously unseen details about that big scandal from a few years back that he probably thought he'd managed to put behind him, despite his best buddy going to jail for it.
He took the fall.
Here's the political news site Notice who broke the story. Representative Matt Gaetz attended a drug-fueled sex party in 2017 with the 17-year-old girl at the center of the alleged sex trafficking scandal, according to legal documents filed to a Florida federal court shortly before midnight Thursday, which cite sealed affidavits from 3 eyewitness testimonies. The minor, who was a junior in high school at the time, arrived in her mother's car for a July 15th, 2017 party at the Florida home of Chris Dorworth, a lobbyist and friend of Gaetz, according to a court filing written by defense attorneys who interviewed witnesses as part of an ongoing civil lawsuit Dorworth brought in 2023. The lobbyists claim he had been unfairly dragged into the alleged sex trafficking scandal that has dogged Gaetz and his allies for years. Dorworth ultimately dropped the case, but lawyers filed these documents in an attempt to recoup attorney's fees for a lawsuit they say should have never been brought.
So basically, one of Matt Gaetz's Florida buddies, former Florida state rep and current lobbyist Chris Dorworth, he didn't like that his name kept coming up in the case against Joel Greenberg, who's Matt Gaetz's old wingman, the guy that ended up actually getting convicted and sent to prison for all this, while Gaetz avoided any criminal proceedings. So Dorworth sued Greenberg for defamation to clear his name, I guess. Greenberg's attorneys went and just interviewed a bunch of witnesses willing to go on the record and say, no, Chris, you were definitely there when all that was going down. And yeah, at some point before the trial, Dorworth dropped the case. But this week, Greenberg's lawyers submitted the documents to the court anyway to demonstrate that the case was frivolous and get Dorworth to pay their legal fees for all their work. So a pretty remarkable example of the Streisand effect from Mr. Dorworth, a man I didn't even know existed until this came along. And Matt Gaetz cannot be happy about all the strays that he's catching here.
Justifiably catching those strays, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the article. And keep in mind, these witnesses all provided their testimony under penalty of perjury.
One eyewitness cited in the court filings, a young woman referred to as KM, provided a sworn affidavit that claimed the teenage girl was naked, partygoers were there to engage in sexual activities, and alcohol, cocaine, ecstasy, and marijuana were present. The teenage girl was identified in the filings only as AB. The discovery taken in this case to date reflects that on Saturday, July 15th, 2017, Dorworth hosted a party at his residence with the following guests present. 1. AB. 2. KM. 3. BG. 4. Matt Gaetz. Lawyers wrote in the filing, also listing several others. The defense lawyers filed testimonies from those 3 women, who the attorneys say placed Gaetz at Dorworth's house that night, under seal pending a judge's approval to make the records public. Additionally, Gaetz's own ex-girlfriend, who was present at the party, provided testimony that lawyers say rebuts Dorworth's claims that he was not there. Notice independently verified that Gaetz and one of the women who testified were previously involved in a relationship. She is only identified in the court filing by her initials BG.
Bad girlfriend. Come on!
Yeah.
I thought you were cool. So yeah, sounds like a whole lot of people saw Matt Gaetz at a party where sexual activities and drug use with at least one underage girl were happening just sort of out in the open. Also, according to other reporting, a whole lot of paid sex workers were there. None of this testimony alleges that Gaetz himself did drugs and had sex with paid escorts, underage or otherwise. But remember that in this specific court case, Matt Gaetz is really only a minor character. The whole case is about whether Chris Dorworth was defamed by being associated with Joel Greenberg.
And reminder, Joel Greenberg and Matt Gaetz were the best of friends.
Yeah.
And this goes...
They were the Bash brothers.
Yeah, pretty much. They were tied to the hip.
They were sending Venmo payments to each other. It's like, here's for the wink wink the other night.
Joel Greenberg had like a whole fake ID scam going on the side. Like
he was prolific.
Full of fake IDs.
Joel Greenberg is the type of corrupt public official that could only exist in a state like Florida.
That's right.
But yeah, sounds like he was not defamed. Sounds like he was there. But Gaetz was there while this was all happening. And this all lines up perfectly with those allegations from a few years back that Gaetz personally engaged in the sex trafficking of a minor, among lots and lots of other things. So it's kind of weird to be reminded of all this and remember that Matt Gaetz somehow managed to avoid any legal consequences for any of it.
Yeah, well, it's because he changed his face. No one can identify him anymore.
Not Matt Gaetz.
Yeah, that looks like a supervillain.
Craziest thing about that is that his face has had not just two. He's had like 3 or 4 different faces at this point.
Yeah.
And like some of it is definitely like weight loss, but it's like the Jonah Hill kind of weight loss where it's like 6 months apart. There's 50 pounds, but yeah, also just a ton of
Botox.
Botox.
Yes.
And yeah, he looks like the Joker when he doesn't have the makeup on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, at least this hasn't been fully swept under the rug. It's back in the news, baby. Sorry, Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
And thank you, Christopher Dorwood, for having the hubris to think you could make this all go away by suing someone for defamation.
You know who's doing a victory lap right now? Kevin McCarthy, who at any chance he gets to go on camera anymore is just like, and by the way, I hope Matt Gaetz apologizes to all those girls that he hurt.
Yeah, those two do not like each other. And on this issue alone, I am fully on Team Kevin.
Yeah.
Like even at the RNC, he go up to him and he's heckling him and Kevin just completely, unflappable. Just
yeah, he was like, I hope your victims find their peace.
Yeah. They hate each other.
Yeah.
I love it.
But it seems like the dirt only goes one way. Matt Gaetz just kind of goes, ah!
Yeah. It's just wild.
Also, just going back and watching the clip of him on Tucker Carlson the night that this all came out is like, God. You can tell he's shitting in his pants.
Yeah, that was like...
you were there too, Tucker.
That was an almost like Dr. Disrespect tier...
Speaking of 17-year-olds.
Allegation denial.
Yeah.
Yeah. But moving on now.
Yeah.
To RFK Jr., a guy who, before he ran for president, was mostly just known as an anti-vaxxer crank, but is now known as an anti-vaxxer crank who also drove around for an entire day with a dead bear in his car before dumping it in Central Park, cut off a dead whale's head with a chainsaw and drove home with it, strapped to the roof of his car, leaking whale juices everywhere, may have eaten a dog, and definitely had a worm living in his brain.
Also kept a journal of all of his sexual exploits that may or may not have caused one of his former wives to kill herself, among many, many other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that all pales in comparison to what was revealed this week.
Woo!
Robert F. Kennedy Jr. released a Harlem Shake video in the year 2024.
What?
What a freak!
Oh, straight to the gulag.
Okay, so RFK Jr. did inexplicably participate in a viral meme from 11 years ago. But that's not what the big news was.
Well, did he do the ice bucket challenge, Elliot?
Maybe.
Did he plank? Did he...
He's catching up on over a decade of memes.
Did he donate to the Coney 2012 campaign?
We got to stop Joseph Coney. The big news is that RFK Jr. apparently had an affair with a political journalist who was covering his run for office.
Which, all right, a Kennedy being a philanderer?
What? A Kennedy being a philanderer? Cheating on his spouse? Being a sex-crazed hound dog?
Stop the presses. We don't even have to change much in the printing press because the Kennedy name is right there. I can't believe that a Kennedy has done this.
I can't believe you've done this.
So RFK Jr. was definitely born with the Kennedy genes when it comes to womanizing, and that's been public knowledge for a very long time. As I mentioned previously, it even drove his ex-wife to suicide, but this story is still very odd. And you definitely get a whiff of the old Martin Shkreli. I can't remember the journalist that ended up leaving her husband for him.
The woman who just nuked her entire personal life and career to
fall in love with Martin Shkreli.
To have a relationship with Martin Shkreli while he was serving as an inmate.
And then have him get out and go, eh.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is whiffs of that. But for starters, remember that article from last year that we frequently reference when we talk about any of his animal corpse stories. And that describes the state of RFK's minivan at the time. But let's revisit it.
Yeah, let's refresh our memory.
Here you go. Rear view mirror smashed to bits, seatbelts chewed off, cushions not open, filth and dog hair covering every surface. The death machine smells so bad I thought I might pass out after about 15 seconds riding shotgun. And that was before the candidate hung a sharp left and sped off towards the trailhead. The dogs barking and toppling over in the area of the car that, theoretically, should contain back seats, but instead holds a wooden bench. "Shut up, you idiots," he told the dogs. At least I think he was talking to them.
Okay, so the person who wrote that article apparently proceeded to then have an affair with the owner of that car, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
He got a whiff of the inside of that car and said, "I want more."
And this is, listen, this is great news for a lot of dudes out there with busted-ass rides, I guess. That is the one upside to all this. It is possible.
Yeah, now, everyone used to make fun of me for having to tie my seatbelt together like a knot.
Ladies love it.
They do. They love the risk.
Yeah.
They love the smells. This car hasn't been cleaned in months.
But it's less great for Cheryl Hines.
Of course.
Who up until a year ago was mainly known as Larry David's wife on Curb Your Enthusiasm, and is now primarily known as the woman married to that freak RFK Jr. And seems to have lost career opportunities and friendships over being shackled to this man.
You know who also feels bad is probably Larry David, who introduced them.
Yeah.
And it was because, like, to him, it's an innocuous connection because
they were both married at the time. In Larry David's defense, he wasn't setting them up on a date. He just happened to be the mutual friend between the two of them.
And he had only known him through environmental activism.
Yeah, like, oh, he's good on, like,
this is like
CO2 and
late
shit like
2000s,
that.
early
Yeah.
2010s.
He hadn't really gotten into the... Like, RFK Jr., like, used to have, like, a show on Air America. Like, he used to be a pretty standard, like, progressive lib.
Yeah.
Who happened to have some anti-vax views. But COVID really brought the anti-vax stuff to the forefront.
And Cheryl, I mean, I do feel bad for Cheryl, but this guy has a track record going back at least 3 decades from when she met him.
Yeah, and there's a lot of reporting on, anonymous friends of hers who were like, yeah, we told her at the time, like, this man is, like, notoriously unable to keep it in his pants. What are you doing?
But it's a Kennedy.
It's a Kennedy.
You're that close to the levers of power.
And it's like, it's the last generation of Kennedys that really matters. So you got to get in. It's your last chance.
Yeah.
But she is married to him. I guess that could change. We'll see. Anyways, the journalist who fell for RFK Jr. while riding in his dogmobile.
The death machine.
is Olivia Nuzzi of New York Magazine. And listen, let's just be honest here and not dance around it. By journalist standards, she's very good looking. By human being standards, she's very good looking.
Yeah.
She's young. She's been working as a journalist for major outlets for over a decade, but she is just 31 years old.
Uh-oh, problematic age gap between her and RFK?
I mean,
we should treat her like a child.
She is less than RFK Jr.'s age.
By half?
More than half.
Yeah.
He is old enough to be her grandpa. He has 2 kids who are older than her. It's fucking gross.
It's kind of gross, yeah.
And I mean, just look at the guy.
Also,
he was hot once. He definitely was when he was younger, but he's a weird wrinkled raisin.
Fun side note, Tim Onion, whose name I can't even remember because it's been Tim Onion for so long, the guy who bought the Onion from NBC News. Ben Collins. He said that he worked with her for many years and still couldn't tell you how to pronounce her last name.
I mean, the Italian pronunciation would be Nuzzi. But
Nuzzi.
Yeah. But anyway, here is Status News' Oliver Darcy, who first broke the story.
New York Magazine on Thursday said its Washington correspondent Olivia Nuzzi is on leave after learning the Star journalist had allegedly engaged in an inappropriate relationship with a reporting subject. That person is Robert F. Kennedy Jr., according to people familiar with the matter. Recently, our Washington correspondent Olivia Nuzzi acknowledged to the magazine's editors that she had engaged in a personal relationship with a former subject relevant to the 2024 campaign while she was reporting on the campaign, a violation of the magazine's standards around conflicts of interest and disclosures, a spokesperson for New York Magazine said in a statement in response to questions from Status. In her own statement, provided to Status after the story initially published, Nuzzi confirmed that earlier this year, the nature of some communication between herself and a former reporting subject turned personal. During that time, I did not directly report on the subject nor use them as a source, Nuzzi added. The relationship was never physical, but should have been disclosed to prevent the appearance of a conflict. I deeply regret not doing so immediately and apologize to those I've disappointed, especially my colleagues at New York.
Okay, so at least, according to Olivia Nuzzi, they didn't bang.
Which is a big weight off of my mind's shoulders.
Well, unfortunately, we've already imagined what that would have been like thanks to tweets like this. He was in her ear sounding like a car with a missing catalytic converter.
Jesus.
Or this. I bet RFK Jr. nutting sounds like when you accidentally vacuum up a coin.
The worst is something we can't play because it's copyrighted.
It's the Frank Reynolds on where he throws up in his mouth. He's like,
I was editing last night's video. I had a physically ill reaction to hearing that. And someone was like, oh, you haven't seen It's Always Sunny? I was like, yes, of course I've seen it. But in the context where I'm thinking about RFK doing this, it made me physically ill.
It's a great scene because he literally does throw up, and that was not in the script. He's just, Danny DeVito is such a comedic professional that he made himself chug a beer and then throw up slowly in his mouth to create what has now become a metaphor for what it's like.
Give that man all of the Emmys.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Do it. But yeah, also, I mean, it sounds like they sexted. Yeah. Still gross. Mm-hmm. No P and V, but they sexted. And I don't want to imagine what the content of those sexts was.
Send me a picture of that dehydrated, shriveled up dong.
Yeah, he is one of those guys. You take one look at him, you're like, got a weird dick.
Especially because look, I'm not going to go on record saying this, but it kind of appears as though he might have and might continue to take some shred of steroids.
That's a funny side plot because he admitted publicly that he's on human growth hormone, but he phrased it in a way where it's like I'm on natural human, but it's like, no, you're on fucking PEDs. And just like the way when he went to Muscle Beach and he was working out and you're like, he is way too big to be having that much trouble lifting moderately sized weights.
A lot of people think that that's what's happened to Elon Musk, who is oddly shaped now because he's taking steroids and not working out.
Yeah, Someone could be it.
Very recently showed the picture of him walking in with the sink to Twitter HQ and then showed a recent picture of him, and it's like what owning Twitter does to a motherfucker. Yeah. And it is bizarre. And I know he's at an age where you age noticeably, but not like that.
Yeah, something's weird has happened there. He looks like a Rob Liefeld character.
Yes, he does.
But yeah, if there was nothing physical, I guess they sexted, which is disgusting.
And bad for Cheryl.
And very bad for Cheryl. Yeah. Who, as hard as as her character had it on the hit comedy series Curb Your Enthusiasm, the real life Cheryl, she's got it so much worse.
You've got to imagine what a relief it was when he dropped out of the race for her. Only for this and the whale investigation to come out.
And endorsing Trump and becoming part of his campaign.
Yeah, but who knows if she actually cares about that?
I mean, I bet she does. She's a Hollywood actress who runs in very liberal circles, and probably I don't think she's getting as many party invites is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Anyway, New York Magazine also confirmed that the relationship did in fact start after that profile where she rode with him in his shitbox full of dogs. And they also say that they did not learn about this from Olivia Nuzzi disclosing it, which makes you wonder how they did learn about it. Now, we would like to imagine that it was something similar to the scene in Succession where Roman Roy accidentally texts his own father a dick pic.
Spoiler!
But it's more likely that Olivia Nuzzi's longtime fiancé found out about it and told her boss. Because, not only is RFK married, Olivia Nuzzi was engaged while this was all going on. The fiancé, fellow journalist Ryan Lizza, who Nuzzi started dating when he was nearly twice her age and was himself once fired for sexual misconduct, described her as his ex-fiancé in a statement explaining why he would no longer be covering any RFK Jr. news due to conflicts of interest.
I mean, she's got a type.
She likes the older guys.
The older sex freaks.
Yeah, they're more experienced.
So that's fucking messy. And one of the worst examples we've ever seen of a journalist failing to abide by the timeless rule of not becoming a part of the story, just like with the Martin Shkreli journalist.
Yeah, it's a rule for a reason.
But as embarrassing as it would be to be a major political figure caught up in a sexting scandal with a journalist, that absolutely pales in comparison to the sheer depravity of our next story. You'll remember a few weeks back, we were introduced to Republican North Carolina gubernatorial candidate Mark Robinson via the news that According to multiple people back in the 90s and early 2000s, he was going to adult video stores on an almost nightly basis, sometimes renting or purchasing tapes to take home, sometimes choosing to go rub one out in the booth, sometimes showing up with some fresh pizza for his fellow masturbators.
Hey, that's nice.
He had a circle of friends, and he probably enjoyed himself.
Some guys go down to the golf course. Mark Robinson went down to the local Porn-a-Rooney.
And as we said before, like, the guy that kicked all this off, it was an old friend who just was like, hey.
He was, an employee at the sex shop who sold Mark Robinson a bootleg DVD from New York City for $25. Robinson never paid him back for it.
Yeah.
So he wrote a funny song about it, put it on YouTube, and that's the thread that unraveled this entire
and probably
show.
One of my favorite jokes that we did on this show, where he's in a bar and points at the TV and says, "That guy owes me $25. Ask me why." And that might have done it. That might have been the reason why people started looking into this.
Yeah.
So it is hard to judge a guy for getting the poison out the old-fashioned way. He does things the old-fashioned way. And that's, of course, before the advent of high-speed internet.
Yeah, there wasn't many options.
So the frequency of his jack sessions, that was, of course, a bit alarming. But the key takeaway here was that this ultra-conservative Christian Republican was regularly engaging in the kind of activity that he himself would label as degenerate if it were anyone else.
It's the hypocrisy.
That's the whole thing. You're running to govern against the activities that you seemingly love so much. Yeah. So obviously, you're a fucking hypocrite. And if you had just not run for office and decided to be the jack-off guy, no one would really care as long as you kept it to yourself.
Or run for office and be like, hey, between consenting adults, no one's getting hurt. Who cares? There's more pressing issues facing this country.
A pizza parlor in every Jack Shack.
Yeah.
I'm tired of going to 2 locations.
So we assumed that was the end of that. But we were dead fucking wrong, apparently, because holy shit. Mark Robinson did not stop going to the porno shop because he found Jesus. He simply shifted his activities to the internet, where anonymity, or the tiniest amount of anonymity, allowed him to really allow his freak flag to fly. So here's CNN. Mark Robinson, the controversial and socially conservative Republican nominee for governor of North Carolina, made a series of inflammatory comments on a pornography website's message board more than a decade ago, in which he referred to himself as a black Nazi and expressed support for reinstating slavery, a CNN K-File investigation found. Despite a recent history of anti-transgender rhetoric, Robinson said he enjoyed watching transgender pornography. A review of archived messages found in which he also referred to himself as a perv.
The comments, which Robinson denies making, predate his entry into politics and current stint as North Carolina's lieutenant governor. They were made under a username that CNN was able to identify as Robinson by matching a litany of biographical details and a shared email address between the two. Many of Robinson's comments were gratuitously sexual and lewd in nature. They were made between 2008 and 2012 on Nude Africa, a pornographic website that includes a message board. The comments were made under the username Mini Soldier, a moniker Robinson used frequently online. Robinson listed his full name on his profile for Nude Africa.
What are you doing?
As well as an email address he used on numerous websites across the internet for decades. CNN is reporting only a small portion of Robinson's comments on the website, given their graphic nature. And this is where I started getting worried. Covering this, a lot of this, you should go look for yourself, because this is YouTube content guidelines.
This is not CNN being demure.
This is
the shit that this guy posted to that porn message. Also, who goes, all right, I've done my jerking off for the day. Time to just hang out here in the message board like I used to hang out down at the porn shop.
This is what
the fuck? But yeah, the shit he wrote is insane. It is crazy.
It seems like he had a flourishing social circle and a big group of friends online, and something happened, and he had to go on a crusade against everything that he apparently loved.
I think he just hates him. I mean, this is
like the self-hating gaze.
You see this with a lot of social conservatives.
Yeah.
They engage in a lot of the activities they hate, and they think that they are atoning for their sins by being strongly publicly against it.
But the post that he was making, just so you are aware, it would make the letters that people used to write to Penthouse seem quaint.
Yes.
It is so vulgar. It even makes creepy text theater seem rated G.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You used to be able to do that shit.
He talking about licking butts and stuff with his wife's
not
sister.
Even just that.
With his wife's sister and a friend.
So this video has definitely already been demonetized, and that's fine because we've got 2 sponsors. But the shit he wrote is so sexually explicit that it would get this video age-gated in a heartbeat.
We have to be careful.
Not even joking.
Yeah.
But we can maybe try giving you an example by just bleeping like every 4th or 5th word in one of his multiple posts about an affair that he apparently had with his wife's sister back in 2011. I'm going to try this and we'll see.
Also, like, I know that this isn't technically incest, but it is really fucking weird to be having sex with multiple people from the same family.
It's
especially when
it is weird, but it's also a lot of men's fantasies. So, also we don't know if this actually happened. This might just be him writing fan fiction.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
it goes into so much detail that I would.
And it's like multiple updates. Like, hey guys, it's me from a few months back. Remember how I was talking about fucking my wife's sister? Anyway, here's what happened this weekend.
Yeah.
Anyway, here you go. Here's just one of so many posts.
Be good with the bleeps.
I'm bleeping fucking everything.
Okay.
I'm back. We took a break for a little bit, but we picked back up where we left off. I hooked up with my wife's sister, and boy, was it good. That is still creamy, and that is still slick, shiny, and pissy smelling. I f***ed her good, and after my was coated with her cream, we 69'd. She my and clean, and tossed my salad while I licked the cream out of that her huge and tongue that pissy good and deep. I know it's bad, but I can't help it. That crack is like crack, and I'm hooked.
We need an eye washing station and an ear washing station. I need a shower, actually.
I need a euthanasia booth.
Yeah. Put me in the device. That's just a relatively brief taste of the kind of shit that he posted on there. But the real story here isn't just how horny Mark Robinson is. It's the stuff that he wrote in his post-nut clarity while just hanging out on the message board, shooting the breeze.
He's using a porno website like most people use Reddit.
Yeah, well, look, this was what his social connection seemed to be. Like, he was like, most people, they go down to the bar, they go to like another third place. He's like, I gotta get home. My friends at the porno website Nude Africa are gonna wanna hear about this.
It's kind of similar how like, I don't know if this is the case anymore, but for a while there, bodybuilding.com was like one of the top message boards online. And like, it started off as a place to discuss like actual fitness tips and stuff.
It became 4chan.
It just became like 4chan. But, so, it sounds like Nude Africa had a similar thing.
And look, regardless of what was happening on the website, you got to give credit to a website that doesn't change its graphical display ever since its inception.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly.
Anyway, back to the article.
In the pornographic forums, Robinson revealed his unvarnished thoughts on issues such as race, gender, and abortion. Writing in a forum discussing black Republicans in October 2010, Robinson stated, unprovoked, I am a black Nazi. That same month, Robinson wrote in another post that he supported the return of slavery. Quote, slavery is not bad. Some people need to be slaves. I wish they would bring slavery, back. I would certainly buy a few, he wrote. Jeez. He's literally the Dave Chappelle.
He's Uncle Ruckus.
Yeah, the Dave Chappelle, episode
Clayton
1.
Bigsby.
Yeah. In March 2012, Robinson wrote that he preferred the former leader of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler, over the leadership in Washington during the administration of Barack Obama. Quote, I'd take Hitler over any of the shit that's in Washington right now, he wrote.
Robinson's comments on Nude Africa often frequently contained derogatory and racial slurs directed at black, Jewish, and Muslim people. In a series of 7 posts in October 2011, Robinson disparaged Martin Luther King in such intense terms, calling him a commie bastard, worse than a maggot, a ho-fucking phony, and a huckster, that a user in the thread accused him of being in the KKK. Robinson responded by directing a slur at King. In October 2010, Robinson used the anti-Semitic slur Heeb when discussing how he liked the show Good Times developed by Norman Lear, saying the show itself was a bunch of Heeb-written liberal bullshit. While discussing the Taliban, he referred to Muslims as little rag-headed bastards and said that if Muslims took over, liberals would be the first ones to be beheaded. Robinson also used homophobic slurs frequently, calling other users the F slur. In a largely positive forum discussion featuring a photo of two men kissing after one returned from a military deployment, Robinson wrote the sole negative comment. That's some old sick-ass F slur bullshit, he wrote. I like that all the other Coomers were like, hey, you know, that's beautiful. Love is love.
We all love each other on the Nude Africa forums. And then he's like,
hell no.
Not if I have anything to say about it.
Hey,
Puts on his Klan hood.
This is fucking crazy. This is, I can't think of another example that even comes fucking close to this in terms of like a politician's personal life getting revealed in such an embarrassing and unflattering light.
It's insane. And by the way, we'll get to it, but he hasn't dropped out.
No, he's still there.
On top of all that, it sounds like, according to Robinson's post, his extreme horniness has been a lifelong issue beginning in childhood when he would repeatedly peep on women in public showers. And also, this is going to absolutely shock you, but despite his virulently anti-trans views as a politician, Robinson once wrote, I like watching T-slur on girl porn. That's fucking hot. Takes the man out while leaving the man in. And yeah, I'm a perv too.
I've literally never heard that described that way. That is funny.
Fascinating.
I do see the logic that he's saying there.
The only benefit of the doubt I'll give him is that if this, and it does sound like a lifelong issue, there might have been some issues in his childhood. He might have been potentially molested or...
This is not normal. None of this is fucking normal. This is well beyond...
But in that case, get yourself some fucking help. Don't be running for public office. Don't be showering hatred across entire swaths of the population. Just go get some fucking help, dude. Like...
Yeah, this is some real... you want to be the governor.
Talk to a professional.
Maybe before being the governor of a state, you should work on yourself a bit.
But because he's fucking... This goes into a deeper can of worms. People think that Christianity can stop stuff like this. No, it's a fucking brain problem if this is what happened. You need to go talk to a professional, not the pastor.
That's a very good point, and a big problem why a lot of this shit continues.
Yeah, because they're like, they dunked me in the water. I'm fine now. I can start over again.
Yeah.
None of that matters. And it's like, no, nothing happened.
Yeah, or when you're like, hey, I've done some like pretty fucked up shit, and they're like, well, you need to pray on it.
Yeah.
You need to ask Jesus for forgiveness.
No, you need to go fucking sit on a couch next to a professional who takes a long time dealing with you.
You need some serious psychotherapy.
Anyways, aside from what he wrote, though, a fascinating angle to the story is how exactly this account was uncovered. And it started with the fact that the username matched usernames that he'd previously used all over the internet, including on Twitter, Pinterest, and YouTube.
I wonder what his Pinterest is. What's he got pinned up there?
I would make a reference to the first thing we quoted, but I don't want it to inadvertently get us demonetized. Oh, look at these beautiful chocolate starfish they have over here. I'm going to decorate my house with that. So from there, the sheer amount of comments about his personal life on the porn message boards provided a series of matches with his location, age, years of military service, year of his wedding, where his mother works, and also a bunch of uncommon phrases like, I don't give a frog's fat behind, and gag a maggot, that Robinson also used on his public social media profiles. Also, just giving away every potential password recovery question that anyone can. Also, his forum profile literally listed his name as Mark Robinson and contained an email address he used elsewhere.
I think we got him. No, that wasn't me.
And I'm still running for governor. And if I lose, it's because it's rigged.
Yeah. So yeah, if this isn't Mark Robinson, it's someone who has been meticulously trying to frame him for being a racist pervert since long before he became a public figure.
2 decades, almost.
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to the original story about the porn shop. Oh, also, after this news broke, the Daily Beast did some digging of their own, and they found a Duolingo account linked to Robinson's email, and the only language that he's ever tried to learn on there was German. Come on.
I'm not getting enough good responses here on Nude Africa. I gotta go jump over to some deeply hidden German forums.
I wish I could enjoy these Hitler speeches without all the subtitles.
Yikes.
Jesus. Anyway, Robinson, of course, denies all of this, even though they got him dead to rights. And the North Carolina Republican Party is standing by their man.
Even I was shocked by this because and this is horrible. This is a horrible state of affairs that when I think, oh, well, the Nazi stuff, the Republican Party will just look past that.
Yeah, I mean,
and this is sick too, is you're like, maybe they'll be upset about the transgender stuff.
Yeah, there's so many angles, but yeah, you would think more than anything else, the Adolf Hitler Nazi stuff would be disqualifying.
you would think. You would hope.
So as Twitter user Internet Hippo summed up this thing, as well as the news of Matt Gaetz and RFK Jr., I don't think there's such a thing as a career ender in modern politics and media as long as you have the requisite lack of shame. Just lay low a while and come back like nothing happened. And lately, even the lay low part is going away.
No, everyone's posting through it.
Yeah, I mean, the only person in recent memory who has been caught and suffered consequences was George Santos. And that only happened once he was literally accused of crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Before that,
it was like, okay,
when he lied about everything,
let's see
they're
what's
like,
going on.
Well, listen, he's still on the team.
Yeah.
It was only when like it got into the category of crimes that they were like, okay, well, we should get this guy out of here. But that took, I mean, the bar is so high. You can do so much shit. Matt Gaetz, still a popular member of the party, still one of Trump's favorites.
What was the guy, the comedian's name from Minnesota that is like, all he did was pose with his hands over a woman's...
Al Franken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Al
he's like,
Franken
well, I guess I have to fucking disappear forever.
Yeah, not that what he did wasn't gross and weird, but like the standard that pushed Al Franken out of office, after being like, at least legislatively, a pretty damn good senator, he's got to be so mad that if you're a Republican in 2024, it doesn't fucking matter. You can do anything. It seems
so quaint in retrospect.
Yeah. The voters don't care. The party doesn't care.
Well, the voters hopefully will show that they do care in the North Carolina gubernatorial.
The thing is, at least last time we talked about this guy like 2 or 3 weeks ago, he wasn't polling great. Mm-hmm. He didn't look like he had much of a shot. I'd be curious to check the polls and see if this news is actually people like, he's just like me.
Well, also,
I like to jack off too.
Also,
we need a Coomer in the governor's mansion.
Because he was such a quote unquote rising star in the Republican Party, you have no shortage of other members of the GOP being photographed with him, showering him with love.
Well, it's because he's a black Republican and everyone wants to be seen with a black Republican. So you see, look, I'm not racist. This is me posing with Mark Robinson.
There was a clip from the Jesse Waters show or the 5 or whatever it was yesterday where someone's like, asks him about Mark Robinson. He goes, never heard of him. And then everyone online just stitches that together with him interviewing him on his own show. Anyways, let's all take a breath, calm down. It's time to thank our sponsors for...
Not quite yet.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Before we move on from all the political depravity, let's do a palate cleanser before the ads. We've got just the thing. I mean, it's still politics, but it's Australian politics, and it's something the kids can understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we'll allow it. The following clip is from a recent hearing in the Australian Senate on social media age limits for minors, where 29-year-old Senator Fatima Paiman decided that with all this talk about what's best for the youth, she should at least talk about it in language that they can understand.
Let's wrap.
To the Sigmas of Australia, I say that this goofy-air government have been capping, not just now but for a long time. A few of you may remember when they said there'll be no phantom tax under the government I lead. They're capaholics. They're also yapaholics. They yap non-stop about how their cost of living measures are changing lives for all Australians. Just put the fries in the bag, little bro. They tell us that they're locked in on improving the housing situation in this country. They must have brain rot from watching too much Kai Cenat and forgot about their plans to ban social media for kids under 14. If that becomes law, you can forgo skull emoji all about watching Duke Dennis or catching a dub with the bros on Fort. Chat, is this Prime Minister serious? Even though he's the Prime Minister of Australia, sometimes it feels like he's the CEO of Ohio. I would be taking an L if I did not mention the ops who want to cut WA's Gaetz and services tax. The decision voters will be making in a few months' time will be between a mid-government, a dog-water opposition, or a crossbench that will mog both of them. Though some of you cannot yet vote, I hope when you do, it will be in a more goated Australia for a government with more aura. Skibidi.
Woo! I mean, this is the way you kill brain rot language, is you bring it into the halls of power.
I was with a friend and I played the video, And they didn't understand a word of it. They were like, oh, Skibidi, I know, I've heard.
Well, hearing it in an Australian accent is especially just like weird.
What was shocking to me and also very depressing is that I said, if I started over, I think I could translate the entire thing for you.
Yeah, I got most of it. And
Yeah.
I was really mad at myself for that.
Mm-hmm. I need to touch grass.
Anyway, now that we've hit our quota for brain rot
And
for the month,
separated the Mark Robinson story with a nice buffer.
the radioactive story there.
Yeah.
But now it's time to let you know that this episode is sponsored by HelloFresh.
Mm-mm.
With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. We all know home-cooked meals are so much better for you, but you don't always have time to pull it off. But with HelloFresh handling all the meal planning, shopping, and most of the prep, it's easier than ever to get dinner on the table quick and painless.
No more endless recipe searching or spending money on a whole jar of spices for only a pinch. With HelloFresh, everything you need to make delicious meals comes right to your door, pre-portioned and fresh. Plus, the included step-by-step recipe cards make cooking simple. There's always new flavors to explore with an ever-changing menu of 50 recipes to choose from every week. Just pick your meals and your delivery date. It is that simple. Choose from a variety of menu options to suit all your needs and tastes. From fit and wholesome to quick and easy, or vegetarian to family-friendly, there's something for everyone to enjoy.
For us, this is a pretty busy time of year, so HelloFresh's quick recipes really come in clutch when there isn't a whole lot of time to cook. And on next week's menu, they got options like their one-pan banh mi style beef tacos and one-pan Santa Fe pork tacos. Look like a great use of just 20 minutes in the kitchen without having to do a bunch of dishes afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
For free breakfast for life, go to HelloFresh.com/freeweeklyweird. One free breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That is free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/freeweeklyweird. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
This episode is also sponsored by What's Up, Gamers?
Calling all gamers.
Sponsored by Turtle Beach, the #1 brand in gaming headsets and accessories. Their new Gen 3 Stealth 600 headset picks up so much crystal clear sound, it's basically cheating. You'll hear every footstep, every reload, every enemy sneaking up on you like they're stomping through your living room in tap dancing shoes. Their headsets are so freaking comfortable that you'll feel like you're wearing a marshmallow cloud pillow on your head. Best of all, Turtle Beach has Stealth 600 models for PlayStation, PC, and Xbox, including cross-compatibility and Bluetooth. So one headset for all your systems. Whether you're a casual gamer or you haven't touched grass in weeks, Turtle Beach has the right headset for you.
For a limited time only, our viewers will get 10% off your entire order when you use code WEEKLYWEIRD, all one word, at turtlebeach.com. That is 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with promo code WEEKLYWEIRD. Turtle Beach is sending us some of these headsets to try out, and we cannot wait.
Just in time for Black Ops 6, baby.
Oh, baby. Can't wait to experience the comfort and sound quality of this headset. Also, the battery life. We all have that one friend whose headsets always seem to die right when you're down to the last 2 teams, but Turtle Beach's Stealth 600 headset has an insane 80-hour battery life with quick charge, so you rarely have to think about charging it.
Hell yeah. Turtle Beach doesn't just have amazing headsets, though. They have every gaming accessory that you could ever want, and they're all high quality at prices that won't break the bank. From flight and racing simulators to controllers, keyboards, and mice, Turtle Beach is the ultimate gaming cheat code. Get the ultimate immersive gaming experience with Turtle Beach today. For a limited time, head to turtlebeach.com and use code WEEKLYWEIRD for 10% off your entire order. That is 10% off your order at turtlebeach.com with our promo code WEEKLYWEIRD.
And now, it's time for the headlines after the show.
I don't know how they're going to top the regular stories, but...
And we're going to have to get through these at a quicker pace because, goddamn, that first half was not a half. That first half was a lot.
And I feel filthy. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, I need a shower.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's start with Tucker Carlson starts his own nicotine pouch brand as he claims Zyn is run by humorless left-wing drones. We've made fucking nicotine pouches that you put in your lips a culture war battlefield.
I could not tell you the political leanings of a fucking tobacco pouch.
Well, according to Tucker Carlson, Zyns are for women and liberals.
You know who fuck these things. Every time I go to a public urinal, they're littered in there.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Put it in the trash.
And after watching that very lovely movie about the Japanese man who cleans toilets, I get so upset
Yeah.
So upset about seeing those things in there.
I mean, I bet he wouldn't mind, though.
It's part
He's a
of the job.
professional like that.
Yeah.
Also, but no one would do that in Japan.
Yeah.
That as a society, they have a concept of shame that we as Americans obviously can't even comprehend. They're not spitting their zins in the toilet. They're taking it out of their mouth and putting it in the trash can.
It's gonna be bizarre when there's like an entire generation of what they'll become is aging adults with just holes blown in the bottom of their mouths.
Yeah.
Or just completely rotted out teeth. You're doing your future self a disservice. But let's move on to the next headline. Python squeezes Thai woman in her kitchen for 2 hours before she's rescued by police. Weak python.
Yeah, it was a big one too. It was like 15 feet.
It was just playing with her.
I mean, I think it is, I'd never thought about this, but like there is a point where the python is big enough and strong enough to really get you locked in, but not strong enough to fully kill you. And, but it's persistent. So she was in her house in Thailand. I guess they got pythons they just let themselves in.
Oh, it's the same thing in southern Florida now.
And yeah, it locked her up and she's just like, all right, well, I think I can live. Like I can still breathe. It's not killed me, but I can't get out. And so she was just sitting on the floor of her kitchen, wrapped up in a python, shouting help for 2 hours until one neighbor heard her and called the police. And they came and just like hit it on the head with a crowbar and like, get out of here.
I originally thought that she had called the police immediately and it took 2 hours. And I was about to say, at least the Thai police are as responsive as our police are.
No, she couldn't even get to the phone.
Yeah.
She was locked in.
Yeah.
She was tied up.
I'm locked in. Oh, God. Okay, next headline.
Jackass's Steve-O canceled breast implant surgery after talk with trans cashier. A sign from the universe.
I feel terrible that trans people have to be some kind of guiding light to others who have no idea that what they're about to do or doing is offensive. But
I feel like
this person's heart
is maybe the best case scenario, especially when it comes to comedy. Like you always hear about like comedians just like, I should be allowed to say or do whatever I want. And Steve-O, for his part, he's like, he just happened to be like shopping and the cashier was a trans woman and he's like, hey, let me just run something by you real quick.
It was kind of divine intervention.
And she's just like, yeah, okay. Like I see how you have got a lot of skit ideas. Like there's a lot of content you can get out of that. Thing is, for me, a trans woman, none of this is a joke. My rights are constantly under threat. I can be arrested for using whatever the government designates as the wrong bathroom. I can be fired without cause. It's
no.
Yeah, it's less fun on my end. He's like, well,
bummer,
shit.
dude. Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna do it then. That's fucked up.
Like, good for him for not going through with it and actually acknowledging that it would have been problematic. But he's got some very light strikes, but he bought a Cybertruck. He moved to like Texas or something. It's very...
He described one of the skits he was going to do, and I'll admit, I see the humor in it.
Yeah.
He said he was going to go to Sturgis and be wearing a big like full head motorcycle helmet and then a bikini top and like roll into Sturgis and film all these like biker dudes being like checking her out and then take the hat off and get a reaction.
I would not do that. The 1 year that I went to Sturgis, they sell loose ammunition on the streets.
Yeah, and like so many people die there from like drunk driving / riding and just general misadventure.
I saw multiple deaths the one weekend that I was there because everyone's just on the highway and I'm pretty sure like up there you don't have to wear a helmet.
Yeah, that's freedom. Freedom to die on impact.
Also, I saw that in Colorado too. No helmets.
Yeah.
And in Florida.
Is it still in Florida?
Florida, you have to have... well, no, I think it's all off now. It used to be that you could...
I remember the last time I was in Florida, there was no helmets. And also, I think at that point, like the seatbelt laws were still like weirdly lenient, where it's like, if you're the driver, you're allowed to not wear a seatbelt. It was something weird like that.
But like the helmet thing used to be a little more strict, but then, my rights. So, yeah.
My freedoms.
Yeah, just... the one piece of equipment that could legitimately save your life in even a low speed crash.
Give you at least a fighting chance.
You could fucking die by tripping and falling on your head going 0 miles an hour.
I fell off a bicycle when I was a kid and it was like, I hit like a weird like oil slick and my bike just like immediately fell like 90 degrees, and hit my head like hard on the asphalt before I even knew it. And I was wearing a fucking helmet, and I was like, fuck, I would be a vegetable.
Yes.
If I wasn't wearing this stupid helmet.
Yes.
Anyways.
Trump assassination attempt suspect's former neighbor says family was weird. Kept a horse in the house. Yeah, that is
pretty weird.
Yeah.
Keeping a horse in the house.
But that's somehow the least weird thing about this guy.
Did the horse die when his friend left a pile of fingers at his door and the horse went and ate the fingers and choked on them?
What? Is it a reference to something I'm not getting?
Yeah, well, it's a spoiler for a movie.
Okay.
The one with Colin Farrell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he also let his pony ride around in the house.
I thought you were going with, did the horse die when he decided to steal its paste to cure the coronavirus a couple years back? You see people are eating horse electrolytes now? Yeah.
It's so much cheaper that, like, the liquid IV is so expensive, but like the horse electrolytes, you can buy like
a whole bucket.
You can buy 1,000 doses of it for like $10.
I saw one post, a doctor respond to it and just goes, no. Like, it's just so simple.
Yeah, like the mineral content. They said it was like a lot of like heavy metals because
you don't have the same digestive system as a horse.
You don't have the same nutritional needs. Don't eat horse food. German woman ends 10-year relationship with airplane.
She fucked the airplane? I hope not.
She said she got on a 737 10 years ago and she was in love. And she's like, the 737 is my boyfriend, but not even a specific, it doesn't sound like it was a specific 737. It was just any 737 that she encountered was her boyfriend. But she broke up because there's just so much time they spend away from each other because it's a plane and it's always flying.
Did she go on like FlightAware and find out where it is?
I don't know. I feel like that would have ruined the illusion because you would have seen that there's hundreds of Boeing 737s flying around.
The seating arrangement's different in this one. It's like a boyfriend putting on a new pair of pants.
Yeah, I mean, and she probably broke up with it too because of like the danger. She's like, I don't want to be hurt when.
Not a Boeing person.
Yeah,
anymore.
I don't want to be hurt when this plane catastrophically fails mid-flight.
Yeah,
I can't live that life.
Police say pair took an NYC subway train on a joyride and crashed it. They have arrested one teen.
You never hear about this, and I wonder why. I mean, it's good that you don't hear about it, but yeah, just getting in an unattended subway car and pulling on that stick and taking it for a ride, it's got to be fun as hell. I would say you're looking for a suspect. There's a number of possibly autistic YouTubers on this very website who I'm sure
they love trains.
I'm sure dream about such an opportunity coming to them. So,
their names: Raphael, Donatello, Leonardo, and Michelangelo. Our favorite teenage autistic mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, they love trains and they love fighting crime.
That's right.
And pizza.
They
love bringing pizza down to the porno shop and sharing it with the boys.
Hey, dude! Radical!
Hey, dude, did you just jack off?
Whoa, cool!
Radical.
Yeah.
I was blowing radical ropes. Cowabunga. Vladimir Putin urges citizens to have sex during work breaks to address Russia's dire birth rate. Because they're all working like 12 hours a day. And they're like,
and
okay.
Who isn't working is fighting on the front line.
Yeah, they're like, you want us to have kids? When? When can we do that? We're working like dogs over here. And he's like,
we got breaks.
There are still opportunities. You got breaks, go do a quick one.
Yeah.
And get pregnant.
This is we've removed all HR people from the workplace. Everyone start fucking.
Russia, to its credit, so they are facing a like crazy demographic decline that shows no signs of stopping. And in response, they have subsidized motherhood to a degree that most American Republicans would say is communism manifest.
Yeah.
But it's good. If you want people to have more kids, you make it less expensive to have a fucking kid.
Back here in America, back in the old days, you could have a regular family and a secret family.
Yeah.
And even a more secret third family.
Yeah. You could do it
all
all
on one salary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore.
Too expensive. Because of the woke.
Because of woke. Russia's Kadyrov accuses Musk of remotely disabling his Cybertruck.
No, it probably just is garbage.
Yeah. I feel like we would have heard from Elon about this if he had decided to disable the Cybertruck that somehow made it all the way over to Chechnya. What is much more likely is that it did what a Cybertruck does, and it just stopped working after a brief period of use.
No, he did it because it turned red on the screen.
But I'm sure, like, that's the thing. What was he going to do with it? Now, he can just, like, put it on display and be like, hey, pretty cool, right? It's got a gun on it. It's got a gun on the back. Imagine if this car worked.
Imagine if this car worked.
Maybe he can get some work done on it. Put a Ford F-150 engine in it.
The F-150 Lightning electric engine. The one that actually works. River otter drags child off dock and underwater in rare attack at Washington Marina.
Holy shit. So, otters. I would have never guessed until like a few short years ago. These are the most vicious, evil, malicious animals that we've got. They are always...
We're encroaching on their property too much.
I was at the Long Beach Aquarium, the Aquarium of the Pacific last weekend. Mm-hmm. They had I think they were sea otters. I had no idea they're so active. You always see them, they're just chilling on their backs, rubbing their bodies.
Holding each other's hands.
No, this, I highly recommend if you're in the area. But they had 2 otters in there.
2 otters!
And they were playing and roughhousing with each other the whole time. Yeah. Non-stop. I don't know where they find the energy, but then they're fucking quick. And like one of them would try to get out of the water and the other one would reach up and be like, no, get back in the ring. And it was delightful.
Yeah.
But also it made me be like, I don't want to be anywhere near these things in the wild. Cause they're dangerous. You don't think about it when you see them, but they're dangerous animals.
They're the bears of the kelp forest.
But yeah, I saw an otter pull another otter off of land into the water. And it looks like that's what happened here at this dock in Washington, where the otter saw a small child and said, you're going in. You're getting dunked, kid.
Woo!
So yeah, be careful out there. Otters are everywhere. And final headline, Lego comes out of 32-year-old's nose after spending roughly 26 years there.
Simpson did it.
Yeah.
Well, it was with a crayon.
It made him smart.
Yeah, and then he shoved it back in there because it made him insufferable.
This guy just thought that he had severe, like...
Sinus infection?
Yeah, severe, like, sinus problems, and...
got the worst deviated septum
It was one of those tiny Legos, the one that's like a circle, flat circle. Mm-hmm. And as soon as, like, the doctor found it while rummaging around in there, it was like his memories just came flooding back, and he's like, remembered when he was, like, 6 years old, He's like, yeah, I put it up my nose like an idiot, and then in my child brain, I was like, oh, that piece fits on top of the Lego man's head. So he stuck a Lego man up his nose to try to connect it and pull it out, but then the Lego man's head also got stuck up there. And then his mom came along and like pulled the Lego head out. Because he's like, mommy, I got Lego in my nose. And she pulled it out, and he's like, no, but there's Lego in my nose. I'm like, no, I got it, baby. It's right here. And then he just forgot about it until he was 32 years old at the doctor being like, why does her breathing suck so much? And he's just like, I have never breathed so good in my life. I didn't know it was possible.
Everything. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, good for them.
Yeah.
And look, get the little side bonus, at least one memory came back.
Yes. Yeah. That's how you unlock memories. Mm-hmm. You shove notes into your head so you remember.
Anyways, that's it for our very, very strange, accurate to the title episode of Weekly Weird News.
Maybe the weirdest weird news.
We got to get out of here and just
decompress.
Exactly. Decontaminate.
Yeah.
Hopefully you'll do the same. We will see you in a couple of days for another episode. Enjoy your weekend. And before you go, hit the like button.
Like.
Is there a hype button? Who knows? Click it if there is one.
If there's a hype button, hype it up.
Talk about stuff down in the comments below and watch our previous videos over here. We got Mr. Beast getting in a little bit of trouble. It's the final pin in the whole dogs and cats story. And we got a Tech News Day for you as well. Check those out. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.